Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your hurricane outlook and discussion for Friday, June the 5th, 2015. Nothing going on in the Atlantic Basin to worry about right now. The action is in the eastern Pacific, where we have Hurricane Blanca, once a Category 5 hurricane. Now, the winds have diminished some, but it does look like it's becoming more healthy since it sat over the same area and upwelled water underneath itself for about a day. At Cat 5 intensity, it kind of self-destructed, but now it's on the uptick again. The latest information from the Hurricane Center put it at 100 miles per hour, but as I'll show you here on the satellite picture, it looks to me like the deep convection is trying to wrap around that eye again, and the water temperatures along the path here for the next day or so, very warm, so this could re-intensify back to Category 3 or higher before it reaches the cooler water up this way, just shy of the Baja Peninsula. Now, taking a look at the forecast track for Blanca from the National Hurricane Center, you can clearly see this does have a direct impact threat to the Baja Peninsula. Not so much Cabo San Lucas with a direct hit from the center, but you all would be on the right front quadrant of that forward-moving, north-moving hurricane. And so even over to the coast of Mexico, some of those outer bands definitely could bring some heavy rainfall, and because of that counterclockwise circulation, the Gulf of California, the southern end of it, sort of pushed up into itself, and that could be a problem with very large waves being driven all the way up to the northern part of the Gulf of California. So again, this emphasizes the point that we try to make a lot, and that is just because you don't have a powerful hurricane coming right at you doesn't mean that there are other threats to deal with, other impacts to have to deal with and take into consideration and thus prepare for. And this is a prime example of that. Blanca will intensify some, and then it's going to weaken over cooler water, forecast to make landfall as a tropical storm. And so you say, well, that's not a big deal, but yeah, all that very heavy rain across this region, and then some of that moisture getting pulled into parts of the southwest United States, that can cause problems. So you remember, you have to take every one of these on a case-by-case basis. Folks should not be looking at this and saying, oh, it's not another Odile, so we're not going to worry about it too much, because where Odile had a very intense wind field with the other weapons that it brought with it, this won't, and yet it will still have a lot of rainfall, and that could cause a lot of problems in and of itself. So just hopefully reminding you of something you already know, but I want to hammer it to make sure people are aware. Now, the moisture from what was once Pacific Hurricane Andres and then now Blanca is getting pulled into parts of the southwest United States because of this trough sitting off of the west coast. And so you see, in the quantitative precipitation forecast here, the QPF over the next 5 to 7 days, a little bit of an increase in moisture here in parts of the desert southwest, certainly for parts of northern Mexico. And while this is nothing compared to what we saw last year with Norbert and Odile, it's still enough to warrant some concern, especially that we might get some high-base thunderstorms, where the bottom of the thunderstorm, when you look up, we call it the ceiling. The bottom of the thunderstorm is higher up than normal, maybe mountain thunderstorms, and if they don't have a lot of rain with them, you get lightning strikes and the potential for some brush fires. And because some of these mountainous areas do have considerable snowpack left that's melting as we get into the summer months, additional tropical rainfall coming out of the eastern Pacific on top of that could create very quickly rising streams, creeks, and dry washes reaching their flood banks and beyond very quickly. So be aware of that. Weather.gov is a great resource to check on your local conditions, because this is going to be best handled. This map is a national map created from the Hydrometeorological Prediction Center, which is now the Weather Prediction Center, and you want to know what's going on locally. So go to weather.gov, put in your zip code, and then you can find out what's happening in your region on a local level. Again, in the Atlantic Basin, no tropical cyclone activity over the next 48 hours. Indeed, that'll get us through the weekend. And looking at the satellite picture here, this animation, I think you can clearly see very strong upper-level winds streaming out of the eastern Pacific, very common in an El Nino situation. and the Caribbean Sea void of any convective activity at all, as are the waters off the Carolinas down through Florida and much of the Gulf of Mexico. We simply don't have any seedling, if you will, for something to even start. We don't have a match to throw on to the gasoline vapors to start the fire. So there you go, the best analogy I can come up with. And that's great news, nothing to worry about over the weekend, and we'll keep an eye on what's happening with Blanca. A quick program note, as they say. Tomorrow I will be in Houston. Actually, I'll get there later today, and then tomorrow is the Ready or Not Houston Galveston Hurricane Workshop, open to the public, a massive, well put together, wonderful event for hurricane preparedness. And you know, if you're prepared for a hurricane, substantially so, you're prepared for just about anything, you know, that comes your way. So keep that in mind. It's not just about hurricanes. You know, that's sort of the top of the pyramid along hurricane country. If you're prepared for hurricanes, you can handle just about anything that's going to be a disruption to your family, your business, your life over the course of a few days or longer, no matter what the disaster is. Being hurricane prepared makes good common sense for being prepared for just about anything. So I'll be there with some of my colleagues, and we will show off the Chevy Tahoe, which has been in more than 20 hurricanes itself, kept us very safe, gathered a lot of important data over the years. We'll also have a lot of our new equipment, a new generation of some of our storm surge cams that we have developed. These things are tiny now. They're so small. It's just wonderful that we're going to be able to put these out and learn a lot more about storm surge when, in fact, we do have that opportunity again. And we're going to have our wind tower that we set up, plus our hurricane research balloon payload, HURRB, on display for you to see as well before we launch that on Monday into the stratosphere from Amarillo, Texas, as part of our testing procedures that we do this time of year. So come on out to the George R. Brown Center tomorrow. It's, you know, during the mid part of the morning to early afternoon. Everybody will be set up. I believe it's from 10 until 2 or 3, something like that. And it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to be there and meet a lot of people. It's probably one of the best attended hurricane events of its kind in the country, and I am honored to be a part of it. Well, that is it from me for today. I'm at my hotel room in Gulfport, Mississippi, going to pack up and head to Houston, and I'll see you all from the road.